We have heard on this programme from a number of businesses, time and time again, that clarity is what is needed, both as to transition period and to where we're ultimately going to end up. Why is that? And what do you think of what you've heard so far?
Well, there's an absolute lack of clarity. And as you say, that's probably the single most damaging thing to business. Business would rather get a straight negative answer early so then it can make plans than not know where we're heading, which, as a country, we simply do not. I think, really, the government's strategy seems to be, let's wait and see what corner we get painted into and then say that's the answer. Business can't operate like that. We need to know at least 1-2 years in advance. If you want to build a factory, to employ people, you need to know, am I going to be sited here or am I going to be sited in Europe? So we need clarity of the situation. But, of course, they can't give clarity of the situation because the government is so divided about the kind of Brexit that it wants. The one thing that's consistent is the voice of entrepreneurship in this country. 97% of entrepreneurs don't want to leave. They think it's a bad idea to leave. But they're very clear that if we have to leave, let's make sure the deal is agreed before we actually step through that door. Because if we step through that door without having agreed a deal, we then throw away any negotiation position we have. Unfortunately, the government doesn't seem to really understand that position.
Lance, I mean, are you not in any way concerned about the fact that we've heard this week from Michel Barnier, do you know what, transition period, it's not a given?
Not at all. In fact, I don't really see the point in a transition period. The whole point of Article 50 was that was the transition. You know, when people voted for Brexit, they thought long and hard. You know, it wasn't as binary as the media is making out at the moment. A lot of people that I know, I think most people sort of felt there were pluses of leaving and pluses of staying. And they did think long and hard, and they voted to leave. And when they voted to leave, they didn't vote for a deal. Nobody talked about soft Brexit or hard Brexit. It was either we stay in...
Wasn't that a mistake, though? Perhaps there should have been greater discussion in the business community and more broadly about the potential outcomes.
No, not at all. I think people just felt that it wasn't working for Britain. You know, it really isn't working for people, and that's why they wanted to leave. And if it was such a great, you know, if this was such a great club, we wouldn't want to leave. The EU wouldn't be threatening us to, you know, if we do leave. They're running it more like a protection racket, trying to do what they can to scare us. And that's really not something we want to be part of. It's just not working for people in Britain anymore.
At the very least, Richard, you can understand why there are people out there who look at the rhetoric emerging from Brussels and agree with Lance that there is a punitive element to the way in which we're being dealt with by the European Union at the moment.
No, I totally disagree. I mean, if you look at what they actually say, they're bending over backwards to say that there's no punishment here. They just keep reminding us very politely that it was us that chose to leave, so we need to say what it is that we want. Angela Merkel's just saying, look, tell me what you want, and then we can help you get there. But Britain is like, no, you tell us. We're like, they're just saying quite reasonably, you decided to leave. And by the way, when it came to the Brexit decision, I negotiated most of the people on the other side. They were absolutely equivocal. Of course we will stay and have unfettered access to the single market. Of course we're not going to be leaving the customs union. In the same way they said, of course there'll be £350 million going to the NHS. The Brexit that this country was promised is not the Brexit that's being delivered. It's absolutely a different bill of goods. And I think as just pragmatic patriots, we have to be able to, clear-sighted, take a look at the deal that they finally do negotiate and say, is that good for this country or not? If it's good for this country, I'll be the first one to advocate for it. If it's not good for this country, if it's actually going to damage this country, then I'll be saying we've reserved the right to change our minds, or at least have a rethink.
Well, I've got to disagree with you, Richard. You know,
which bit?
The EU works for big business, but most people in Britain are employed by small businesses, and it's small businesses that suffered over the years all the regulations, day after day, sort of new regulations that keep coming through that make it very difficult for them. Big businesses are bureaucracies themselves. They lobby the EU to put in rules to protect their businesses, which stops small disruptive businesses coming through. And it's, you know, small businesses employ more people in the UK than big business does. And as I say, this Brexit was about the little man. It was about the little man standing up to this sort of cronyist corporate world and this sort of bureaucratic world and saying, look, we've had enough, there's a different way. Most countries in the world don't have a trade deal with the EU. We don't need a trade deal with the EU to trade. Our biggest trading partner in the world is the USA. We don't have a trade deal with them. yet we still trade. So it's, you know, we don't need a trade deal to trade.
This is one of the things that's awkward when you're sort of having a debate with someone from the Vote Leave side. Day is night and night is day. They're putting that the EU is there for big business. The EU there is to protect the common man. At its heart, it is to protect humans and societies and communities against the ravages of international capitalism.
Well, it's not doing a very good job.
The people that paid for Brexit are a billionaire elite. The actual whole principle of Brexit is to bring together a continent so it can trade and be peaceful and be prosperous, which
Richard,
is done brilliantly.
Would you at least accept that the pseudoscientists, the economists, actually, that are saying that there will be a negative impact directly as a result of a hard Brexit, that they could well be wrong, and that actually, in the medium to long term, the freeing up of ourselves from the regulatory environment imposed upon us by the European Union might well give us the opportunity to get the economy back on track in a way in which we haven't been able to since the banks went down?
I don't know, when 99% of the world economists say it's going to have a negative effect on the economy, I tend to side with them. There's 1% that say, no, it's going to be good, but 99%, it's like climate change scientists. 99% of them say climate change is real. I'm going to go with them.
So when does your confidence come then, Lance?
Well, my confidence comes from my own experience, and I disagree with the point about entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs welcome change. Change provides opportunity. You know, every day in our lives, change is happening, but it's small incremental change and we don't notice it. It's like you're on this treadmill. And it's only after 20 years or 30, 40 years you look back and you think, oh my goodness, how on earth did I get into this situation?
Coming out of the European Union is not small incremental
No, but
change.
that's the beauty of it. It is a massive change. It throws us off that treadmill. It allows us to step back and say, we're in a whole new world here. How can we seize the good stuff, shed the bad stuff? And I think that this is the greatest opportunity for Britain in a generation, and we should seize it really positively.
And so far, this opportunity, in inverted commas, that we've chosen has meant that we've gone from being the best performing economy in the G7 to the worst performing economy in the G7. It has seen our wages go down in real terms. The nurses have started leaving. Young people feel that they've had their futures taken. How that is opportunity. And 97% of entrepreneurs of small businesses want to stay in. 97%. It's a fact.